This is Blake LeVine, and today's educational talk is going to be about a very important topic. It's about those with depression and being a caregiver. So someone who is a caregiver can take on many different roles. It might be a mom, a dad, a brother, a sister, a friend. It could be a professional, maybe a social worker, or a psychologist, or a nurse, or a home health aide. But I want to share in this talk, if you are a caregiver for one or many people with depression, there are some key steps I've learned that help not only those you're working with, but yourself to continue with the work. The first thing is, in my years as a therapist and now as a life coach, many times parents have come to me and they're really having a hard time. They have a child with a mental illness and they don't know what to do. The child is resistant and angry and tries to make them feel bad for the help that they offer. It's often a very hard and tireless job. They're always helping, paying for their bills, doing whatever they can to help them survive, and the child can be angry, nasty, even say that I don't want your help, when the truth is that without the support of the family member, they may not be able to survive outside of a hospital. And I have also found that for those that are doing that, being the caregiver, it is extremely valuable. In my own life, when I was diagnosed with mental illness, it took the first couple of years of my mom really being there for me, doing everything she could. There were times I was rebellious and resistant to treatment, but because she hung in there and tried to do everything she could, eventually I did make full recovery. And I want to say to anyone out there that's trying to be a caregiver, maybe your husband or wife is really having a hard time, or your brother or sister, or your child, or your friend, or someone you work with, when you are putting in the effort to be there for them, it is so valuable, because often when you're living with depression, it doesn't happen overnight that, hey, you're in a horrible depression and then everything works out. It can be a many year slow and steady progress to actually rebuilding, to finding hope again, to figuring out what to do next in your life. And I believe those that are caregivers are often the strength that the person needs to get through the situation. My work as a social worker earlier in my career, I learned just how much people need support. I worked with the homeless in a homeless outreach center in Manhattan in New York City, helping those that were homeless and really seeing just how much they were struggling. And at first, sometimes they were closed or they didn't want to talk about what they were feeling. But I could tell after getting to know them that living homeless on the streets of Manhattan, when it rains, when it snows, they needed the support. And being a social worker and a caregiver to them was so valuable. And I learned from that experience that we all need help. And even when someone's fallen to that place of hopelessness or is not able to have food or a place to live, they need support. And one of the best things I gave them was not just my therapy tips, but also the kindness of telling them, that they are appreciated, that they have a purpose here in our world, that things could get better, accessing services for them, whether it was soup kitchens or telling them about how they could get housing, and just being able to say, you know what, you may be in a rough spot right now, you may be feeling down or depressed, but it doesn't always have to be this way. And I found that many of the homeless were alone, and when they were talked to in a nice way and engaged, it really helped them to feel better. And that's similar for those with depression. Many become resistant to being around other people. They stay alone in their room. They're on their computer or their video games, and they don't really have human connection. And when you as a caregiver are warm and kind and you listen and you support and you talk to them, you are making a major positive difference in their life. And I believe that being a caregiver is not an easy responsibility. Those that go into the helping fields have a lot of patience, have a lot of care. Often the pay is low for the work that they're doing. It can be stressful and strenuous, but they continue to support and help. And I believe those people really deserve a thank you for all the activities and support they do to help other people. And even if it's a parent, you may, have a child that for years and years you're supporting and helping them deal with all types of obstacles and issues. And being that caregiver can be a tireless and thankless job, but doing it is so important, because many of the people in our world that are facing these issues, they need someone in their corner day in and day out. And even when the person says mean things or puts them down or does, bad things to the caregiver, when that caregiver, takes a step back, says, you know what, they don't really mean it, they're not in their right mind at this time, and says, you know what can I do? Do I need to talk to their doctor? Do I need to talk to their therapist? Do I need to change the way I'm handling, dealing with them? It makes such a big difference, because many times people with mental illness, people give up on them. I've watched with the homeless. These are people that no longer had families in their lives, and they end up in a really bad spot. And I also believe that many of the caregivers and parents that have helped their children have avoided that horrible fate, whether it be living in their car, living on the streets. When that caregiver is supporting them, they often are able to stay in a better environment. And I believe that we as human beings need each other. If you are a caregiver, it is something that is very important and valuable. If you want to help other people, you can volunteer with organizations. You can even volunteer at soup kitchens where there are homeless and feed them a meal. And when you do that and you care for someone else, it helps you. I've learned in my own life, I faced a lot of my own problems, but when I'm supporting and helping other people, when I'm teaching, when I'm encouraging, it makes me a happier and healthier person. And that's one of the joys in life, is when you make a difference and you impact other people in a positive way, you not only help them, but you help yourself. I want to thank you so much for watching my educational talk today. I have a wonderful series of books. If you type Blake LeVine on Barnes & Noble or Amazon, you can find my book, Beating Bipolar. I wrote one about mental illness and addiction called Depression, Bipolar, and Heroin. And I have a new book in 2017 being released called The Depression Diet. And man, is this going to be a positive book that teaches a lot of lessons for anyone impacted by depression and the caregivers that support them. So check out The Depression Diet. I believe it's now on Amazon for pre-order, and you can get your first edition copy if you put the order in now before it comes out. So go do that, and check out our channel here. Lots of videos, educational talks to inspire and teach. And if you go below to the website, bipolaronline.com, you can see the free articles we offer there for support. You have a great day. Thank you so much.